Perhaps you have a home distiller in your life that you're looking to get a gift for. Perhaps you're looking to get into the hobby, or you know someone that's wanting to get into the hobby, or perhaps you're just looking to get something nice for yourself as a reward for this year. Either way, guys, this is the video for you. We've got 11 things voted on by actual home distillers that they would absolutely love to have sitting underneath the Christmas tree. How's it going, chasers? I hope you're having a kick-ass week. I'm Jesse. This is Still It. You guys probably know the drill. For those of you that are here looking for someone else and you've stumbled on this video, welcome. It's nice to see you. Like I said, we have 11 products that actual home distillers voted on in the community on Facebook and on Patreon to say what they would like to see underneath the Christmas tree. So if you're looking to buy for someone else, this is going to be a really solid guide to make sure you're getting them something nice. Now, I know, guys, I get it. This has been a weird year, and I know that people have been doing it rough. So remember, it's not the price tag that comes with the thought that's important. It's the thought that comes with the price tag that's important. So with that in mind, we've got a range of things here that range from really freaking cheap up to, you know, you can spend, the sky's the limit when it comes to distilling. Before we get stuck in, Mrs. Stillett gave me something that she absolutely insisted that I had to wear for this video. Merry Christmas, guys. Coming in at number 11 is honestly, the problem with distilling is you always want something bigger. And this is not something specific. It's basically that whatever people have in the hobby, they want a bigger version of it. The problem with this is that it's impossible for me to recommend what you should buy because I don't know what it is that you have or what the person that you're buying for has. You might have to do some stealth work there. The main candidates are fermenter size, the still pot size, and the size of the column. And when I say size of the column, we're talking specifically girth. Girth is what's important here, team. So it's the width of the column. If they have a 2-inch column, maybe they're thinking of going to a 3-inch or a 4-inch, for example. If you don't have anything, then anything is bigger than that, right? And if you're watching this video because there's someone in your life that you're thinking might be wanting to get into this hobby, what do you go and buy for them, so on and so forth. I've got 2 suggestions for you that might surprise a few people. Number 1 is the budget option, something to get a person if you want to see if they're intrigued in it, if you think it might be something they're really into, and you don't want to go all in from the get-go. Maybe that's someone you're buying for or for yourself. For that situation, I would suggest one of these little guys. It's a little mini Chinese pot still. You can buy them on Amazon and AliExpress. I will have links for as much of this stuff down below as I can get. Some of it, little mini Chinese pot still. The beauty of it is that it takes up next to no room. And honestly, if you get them just this, they will probably be able to get started with things you have laying around the house. So you can ferment and do like a sugar wash, for example, in a big old stock pot. You can cook it on a barbecue. I use my gas barbecue to run this thing, or even on the stovetop if you have to. They just really are a cheap way to get into the hobby for about $100, $120 a US. A quick mention for people that are thinking about getting into this hobby. While it is an insanely rewarding hobby and you will love it if you get into it, I promise, it is not, as I've heard said before, tiddlywinks. There are some safety things to look into. So if you're going to get started or you're going to give it to someone else to get started, tell them to have a look around on the forums, on this YouTube channel. You get the idea. Just look up the safety stuff and get yourself set up right from the beginning. Cool? This is the one that I think might be a little bit surprising to some people, but the next thing I'm going to recommend is... Oh, dear Lord, the Turbo 500. Yes, Jesse got a Turbo 500. Now, the reason I'm suggesting this is if I don't know where you live, I don't know what sort of spirits you like, I don't know what's available to you in your area, I don't know your budget, I don't know whether you've been into beer beforehand, or all those sort of things. All of these are the questions that I would ask someone if I wanted to specifically recommend a still for them. Seeing as we can't go through that in this video, this is actually a pretty good option for a lot of people. The price isn't horrible. It's available damn near everywhere. And straight out of the box, it's going to work. And with a few modifications down the road, if you really want to get into the hobby, it can turn into a really capable little unit for you. So T500, guys, and yes, you will be seeing this in videos coming soon. Next up at number 10 is something that I have never been able to use in person, but something that I've always kind of wanted. It's been on my radar for a while, and that is a apple press. the thing presses apples. They are a little bit on the spendy side, guys, depending on the size you want to get. But it would be pretty freaking cool to be able to press your own apples or other fruit for that matter, and then be able to ferment it and distill it. I know there are a few people in the community that have them and absolutely swear by them and love the products they make. This is a gift that is kind of a little bit niche in that it opens up kind of a whole new world to that distiller, to allow them to start getting into things that they haven't done before, or to be able to do it in a more traditional way, I guess, and that's a cool thing. All right, this is not one of the things that people voted on, but it is something that I'm going to insert in here as my own personal recommendation because I am a freaking klutz and I always break these things. I need a steady stream of them because I cannot keep them in one piece. You guys have seen how I talk in videos and how I wave my hands around and how I tend to leave things laying around. That is entirely my fault, not a fault of the Hydrometer or the Alcometer. But if you've got a new distiller that you're buying for, or perhaps you're a little clumsy as well, you know who you are, guys, then it's always a good idea to have an extra couple of these things around. So, Hydrometer, quick reminder, guys. This is only good for fermentation, basically. So creating the wash, figuring out the amount of sugar that's in it, and then figuring out how much sugar has fermented out, so you know the ABV of the wash. Once distillation starts, this thing is absolutely no good to you whatsoever. That's what you need one of these guys for. This is an Alcometer. And once again, a reminder, these are only good for measuring solutions that are purely water and alcohol. And we know, obviously, nothing is actually purely water and alcohol, but as close to that as possible. So if there's any sugar in it, nope, it's not going to work. On to number 9. The thing that Home Distillers voted number 9 was inspiration and motivation to get shit made, basically. And I know that this is a joke, and dude, I love it when you guys mess around and have some fun with these polls and stuff, because it is all lighthearted, let's face it. But I actually do have a tip on what you can buy people to get them inspired and motivated to make more kick-ass product, and that is kick-ass product. And the thing is, unfortunately, the only way to legally do that is to buy commercial stuff, which, you know, that's fine. And let's face it, there's a bunch of really cool stuff out there. Now, I am into whiskey. That's what I really like. So I'm not going to suggest other things to inspire you. What I would like everyone that's watching this, if you ever drank a commercial product that inspired you to go and make something yourself, that's an interesting flavor, or that's an interesting concept, or whatever it happens to be, and then it made you go home and research, it made you go home and test things, it made you go home and try things. Drop a comment down in the comments below of what the brand and the bottle is, and then what the category of spirits that it's in. First one is Monkey Shoulder. It is really freaking affordable. It is a blended scotch, and I don't have anything against blended scotch, but the amount of flavor that's in here for the price is really, really cool. It is initially quite approachable and easy for people to drink if they're just getting into whiskey, but then the more you look at it, you realize that there's kind of a little bit of weirdness going on in here too, which is actually really fun. Islay has to go on there, and for me, Lefroy Select, simply because this stuff is pretty much the cheapest really good Islay whiskey that I can find in my area. And the last one I want to show you is Redbreast. This is probably the most, depending on where you are, the spendiest bottle here. Redbreast 12. And the reason I want to show you this bottle is a lot of people think that Irish whiskey is Jameson's. That's what it is, that's all it is. I like it, it's smooth, it's easy to drink, that's about all there is to it. If you're in that camp, get a bottle of this stuff and prepare to have your mind changed. It is still really approachable, it's still really nice, but yeah, there's something special about this bottle. So, inspiration central here. And number 8 was a grain mill. This guy right here. Right at the beginning of lockdown, I bent the shaft on my grain mill, and I was worried that it was going to turn to shit, so I ordered a backup just in case I got stuck in the middle of lockdown without a grain mill. That would have been a disaster for me. Now, the reason these things are absolutely awesome is they unlock your potential to grind grain. Simple enough, right? But what that means is that you can buy grain in larger volumes. It'll keep better on the shelf. You can grind what you need when you need. And a simple little 2-roller one like this will be good for pretty much any barley you can throw at it. I have done malted corn. It won't get through unmalted corn though, unfortunately. And I've also just recently done rice with it as well. For what they are, these things are pretty affordable. I think I got this for about $100 US. I'm probably way out, so I'll put it up here, and obviously links in the description as well, guys. If people are looking to make the jump from sugar washers into all grain washers, which are 100% recommended if you're wanting to make things like whiskey, grain mill, top of the list. It's time for me to insert another one of my little suggestions here, and that is a temperature controller. No, not for your still, for your fermentation vessels, because let's face it, things aren't always the same year round, and sometimes you want to make something like a rum in winter in New Zealand, or you want to ferment low and slow in summer in Texas, and having a temperature controller like the STC100 allows you to both control a heating device and a cooling device to keep your ferments on the straight and narrow when it comes to temperature. Just be aware there is a little bit of DIY setup and some very, very low level electrical work to get the thing set up, depending on the one you choose. If you just want to buy something that's going to work out of the box, it's got a bit more of a brand name on it, then you can look at the Inkbird. I'm not showing you my STC100 because it is currently fermenting 3 different washers out in the shed. Number 7, as voted by home distillers, is, I've got stuff everywhere, I'm going to move this shit around, the humble Parrot. Now, if you don't know what a Parrot is, well, we're not going to go into it right now. I've got a video up here that talks about it, but basically it's a way of monitoring ABV over time coming off your still, and honestly, they just kind of look pretty dope sitting on the shelf, so there's that too. I have mixed feelings about them, to be perfectly honest with you. I love it as a showpiece, as something sitting on the wall. This one was sent in to me by a viewer, so it means more to me because of that as well. He built it for me, but you can pick them up obviously from retail stores as well. Number 6, thank you guys for throwing me a bone. I know you're kind of taking the mickey a little bit, but it was the Stillet Glencairn glass. Now, these are up for sale on the website, but I have a funny feeling by the time that this video goes out, they'll actually be entirely sold out. I have ordered more. They're going to take a little while to get here. And I also have the warehouse checking just to make sure that we don't have a couple sitting around in the corner somewhere. If you want to know when those are coming out, jump on over to chasethecraft.com, sign up for the newsletter, and as soon as they're back in stock, I'll be slapping it up there. But just to say, this is not just merch for me. The reason that I put my logo on a Glencairn glass is I freaking love these things. Time for me to slap another cheeky little personal recommendation in there, and that is for a precision scale. A jeweler's scale. I hear you snickering. Yes, cousin is still illegal in New Zealand, but jewelers do actually still use them. This is a really good option for anyone that is into using botanicals or tinkering around with water profiles, with additives, yeast nutrient, all of those sort of things. It is almost always more accurate to measure these things out by weight than by volume, and this is going to give you a better, more consistent experience overall. So how much juniper do you put in? Bam, this is what I use. Number 5, voted by the Stillet community, is SPP Spiral Prismatic Packing. Now, I'm pretty much new to this stuff. I've only really used it once by itself and a couple of times in the Genio, but the idea is the specific shape of this packing makes it a much more efficient packing to put in your column instead of something like copper scrubbies or stainless steel scrubbies, so on and so forth. It is not that cheap in terms of when you think about the volume you're using compared to the price. But I'll tell you what, in my experience, it really, really does make your reflux column so much more efficient. For those of you that make a lot of vodka, gin, all of those sorts of things, this might be something that you want to look at treating yourself for. Number 4, home distillers are generally relatively simple people to please, and they want ingredients. So, grain, big old sack of grain would be great. Bonus points if you can find a local craft maltster and buy some stuff off them. If you're not into the hobby and you don't know what's going on here, you probably want to go for a base malt if you're going to buy a large amount of grain for someone. They'll love you for it, but if you give them, 20 kilos of chocolate malt, it might take them 3 years to get through that stuff. So base malt if you go in barley. If If you want to go a little bit fancier on that point of view, maybe you can find some specialty ingredients that your area is known for or that person is into. Honey, spices, all of those sorts of things. Chances are you're probably going to be able to use it in something in distilling. And if you know the person you're buying for, you know the sorts of things they're into. Just a tip though, probably don't buy them anything perishable, because there's nothing worse than having something cool to use, not being able to use it, and it going off. Right, before we get into the top 3 things that home distillers asked for, we have a quick suggestion from Bearded and Bored. I asked him what he was into. What, you don't know Bearded and Bored? If you don't know Bearded and Bored and you're watching this channel, you should probably check him out, man. I'll stick a thingy up here if I can. I can't even remember how the cards work anymore. If it's not up here, it is down there. Check him out, guys. And he suggested that Yeast Nutrient is something that would be a great present for home distillers. And honestly, I agree with him, guys. It's kind of one of those things that if you don't have, you get by without, but sometimes it's just nice to have it. I have a tendency these days to just use DAP. It's not even a branded bottle, it's just a random bottle with a sticker on it now. But actually, you know what? Should we literally just buy Bearded some Yeast Nutrient and send it to him right now? I think I've got his address there somewhere. Yep, there we go. Let's buy him that and get it sent to him. No, I'm not going to let you see his address. Here you go, Bearded. I hope you get some nice beer made out of that stuff, mate. Before we get on to the top 3, I need to say a huge thank you to the Patreons. Thank you so much, Patreons. And let's face it, guys, most of the stuff sitting on this table was directly or indirectly funded by you guys. And the reason that I get to play with this stuff, the reason that I get to make videos on this stuff, the reason that I get to share it with everyone else is because of your support. So thank you so much, guys. I thoroughly appreciate it. On to number 3, things voted by you guys at home, and that is the Tilt Hydrometer. Now, this is not actually something that I've used personally. I've seen them used, and I know people that have used them, and the idea is that you fang this thing into the fermenter itself, and it wirelessly connects through Bluetooth, I think, to a device on the outside of the container, and it'll measure the gravity of your wash as it changes throughout the fermentation process, which is pretty freaking cool, I gotta say. In practice, is it gonna make you a better brewer or a better distiller? No, not really. If you're into techie stuff and you just kind of like the geekery of it and you like fussing over things because it's fun for you, hell yes, it's freaking awesome. On to number 2, and that is bubble plates, which I think is right here. Yes, yep, there we go, can't see it. Bubble plates, guys, this is the number 2 thing that everyone wanted when we asked them. And yes, bubble plates are really freaking cool. I love my bubble plates. It allows you to kind of hit a space between reflux and pot distilling, which is pretty cool. And you can add or subtract different amounts of plates to the still depending on how far you want to take that concept. In some ways, it's kind of like a thumper 2.0 in a lot of ways. And I thoroughly enjoy using them. Probably the most use I get out of them is when I don't want to do a stripping run. So I'll just make a wash at 8 or 9% and whack it through the still. Basically a pot still set up with maybe 2 plates, and that's pretty damn close to a double distillation in terms of its outcome, which saves you a bit of time and means you don't have to make such big washes. Now, more often than not, if you're going to buy these things by themselves, they'll come with a sight glass like this. The bubble plate sits inside of here, like so. And that means that you can build as many as you want. Something to note is that you just want to make sure that the still that you're buying this for is compatible with tri-clamps, or you've got a way to get a tri-clamp on there, and that the diameter of the plates is the same as the still itself. So for example, this is a 4-inch plate. Don't let it completely put you off though. For example, my still itself is a 2-inch ferrule on the pot, but I can use a 2-inch to 4-inch reducer and then pop these on, and then at the top of these I can put another 4-inch to 2-inch reducer and go back to the rest of my still. So totally doable. Number 1, the number 1 thing that home distillers need in their lives, as voted by you guys, is this right here, a barrel. Specifically a new charred oak barrel that you can age spirits in. And I have to say, guys, I've been looking forward to using one of these things for a long time, and I haven't got around to it yet. That is what this thing's for. You may see on the front, it says 2020 100K. I bought this for the channel as a reward to me and a reward to all of you guys for helping me get to 100,000 subscribers, which is pretty freaking special. And yes, you will be seeing this in upcoming videos. In fact, we have a special plan to celebrate the 100K landmark, I guess you'd call it. I'm just waiting on YouTube to get that silver play button to us so we can make it all official. So here's the thing with barrels, guys. Number one, they look freaking dope and they're cool to have sitting on the shelf in the bar or in the shed aging away. Number two is that they make really nice product. That's just, I mean, that's the way these things are made. It's a proven concept, right? But you do have to be careful when you're choosing the size of barrel that you want. When you go too small with the barrel, you really get weird interactions with the wood and the liquor based on surface area to volume of spirit ratio. And as you go up through the bigger barrels, yes, it'll take longer to age. And what I mean by that really is to oak teabag it, not to age it. It turns into a really large amount of wash that you need to make, and a really large amount of product you have to put through your still. So this here is a 20-litre barrel. Honestly, this is on the large side for a home distiller, and that is going to take a lot of work to fill it. Not in the grand scheme of things, but keep in mind, guys, everything I do on camera, I kind of want to get content out of for you guys. So it's a lot of hours in the shed that I'm going to be doing just for the enjoyment of getting this thing filled up and for the enjoyment of sharing it with you guys, you know, as it ages over time. So if I was to recommend something, I'd say you probably want to be looking in the 5 to 10 litre range, depending on the size of your equipment. The other thing too, team, is that you can use them multiple times, and every time you use them again, the amount of flavour that the wood's going to impart on the spirit reduces. So by perhaps the second or the third time you fill the barrel, you'll get a little bit more time out of it, even with one of those smaller ones. So there you have it, guys, the top bunch of things to give to distillers, or to buy for yourself if you want to treat yourself, if you're into home distilling. If you've tried some of these things and you liked them, let us know. If you tried some of these things and you don't like them, let us know too. That's just as important, if not probably more important. Drop them in the comment section down below. If I've missed something, or the community's missed something, and you think there really is a product that distillers should have waiting under the Christmas tree, drop that down there too. In any case, guys, I will catch you next time with another video. Keep on chasing the craft. See ya.